Rev up your engines!
VW is going to scrap dozens of their car models to put an accent on profitability. Now, the profitability is with their expensive cars. Audi, Porsche, they're going totally against their own name. Volkswagen, the people's car, right? Now they want to sell expensive Porsches and Audis. That's what their idea of the people's car is now, so they can make more profit. They say they're also going to focus on making less cars, but more high-end expensive cars to make more profit. Because if you don't know about the car market, hey, the high-end cars, they make a lot more profit on it, so of course they'd rather sell them. That's the main reason you see SUVs all over the place instead of station wagons. SUVs are a higher profit item, so they want to make and sell a lot of them. And here's a quote from Volkswagen. We are more focused on quality and margins rather than on volume and market share. Yeah, well, totally against the Volkswagen, the people's car that the Germans came up with, you know, way back in the late 30s when they started designing the thing. Totally turned around now. Well, you want to make some money as much as possible if you don't care about numbers anymore. If you want to make lots of money, they're going to have to change it to the rich people's car. Whatever rich people's car is in German, you know, something Volkswagen. Well, old Scotty got his wish. They are now giving out information, the cars that were on that ship that sank in the Atlantic Ocean. Remember, with all the Volkswagen cars and stuff on it. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if an electric car started to fire? There were 5 Volkswagen ID.4s. Those are electric cars. There were 34 Audi e-trons. Those are electric cars. And of course, there are a bunch of rich cars, Lamborghinis and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if one of those electric cars started the whole thing. We'll probably never know, but hey, there were a bunch of them on there, and I'll bet you they started when those lithium batteries started burning. Then they just start getting to everything and burning everything up, and the ship sank down in thousands and thousands of feet of water. So we'll never actually know how it started, but my money's on the electric cars started on fire and stupid things and probably burnt the whole thing down. You don't see any other ones going down. You didn't see it in the past, really. But with these electric cars, those lithium-ion batteries, they start on fire, they get hot, boom, whamma. I'm betting it was one of those electric cars that sank that whole ship full of cars. Now, they were mainly Volkswagen products, so who really cares? And rich people's cars, Lamborghinis and stuff, so no big loss to the average American. But as far as I'm concerned, it's another warning against electric cars. X702 said my AC isn't cold. I got my AC compressor replaced in October of last year, my Honda CR-V. I turned it on and it's 90 for the first time and it's not blowing that cold. What do you think the problem is? Maybe it doesn't have enough refrigerant? Is it a bad compressor? Here's a warning that I always give people. You got your AC fixed in October. Don't. Unless you live in a hot climate. When you get your air conditioning system fixed, you want to get it fixed when it's 90 degrees, 95, whatever, hot outside. Then you'll know, is it fixed right or not? Since that was October, and this is April, the guy would say, well, your warranty's up, it was only 3 months or whatever, and then blah, blah, blah. You never know. Plus, as a mechanic, I will tell people openly. If they want me to work on it, I will, but I'll tell them openly. I can't tell if your system's going to work right until it's over 90, because then all the pressures are on. AC systems, 90 degrees, every degree over 90 degrees, your air conditioning system loses an additional 10% of efficiency. So you don't know if it's going to work. If it's, 75, 80 outside and you get it fixed and now it's 95 and it doesn't work, you never know. You never know. Now pray it's low on refrigerant, which is a very simple thing. What mechanics like me do is we evacuate out the system so it's empty with a vacuum. Do that for about an hour. It gets any moisture or anything out. Then we put in a factory load by however many grams it holds. I would start there if I were you. Listen to Scotty. Heed my advice in the future. Don't get an air conditioning system fixed when it's cold outside because you don't know if it's fixed until it gets hot. And if it's months later, you may not have any warranty and you'll be stuck in a big mess. Royce at 275 says, I want to make my 2018 Jeep Compass last longer. How can I make it last longer? Don't drive it much. They are relatively cheaply made, especially since Fiat took over, and now Stellantis owns it. The Three Stooges, we got Peugeot, Fiat, and Chrysler together. The Three Stooges of car manufacturing, as far as I'm concerned. Even my grandfather's a mechanic. He couldn't stand Chryslers. That was way back in the 60s. Even back then, they were using cheap parts. Tires that wear out fast. Shocks that would wear out in 15,000 miles. They've always been a cheap company since the 60s. Up. Now, Of course, you change your oil and filter, say every 5,000 miles, use full synthetic oil, change the transmission fluid. On those, I'd make a point of changing it every 30, 40,000 miles. Just drain and fill, don't ever flush, that can destroy them. Keep air in the tires, keep the filters clean, don't ever overheat. Change the coolant like once every 4 or 5 years with a long life coolant. Do take care of it as much as you can. The main thing is drive conservatively. The weakest thing on that Jeep is its automatic transmission. And since 96% of Americans drive automatic transmissions, I assume you got an automatic. That's the weak point. You want to go 80? Go ahead, go 80. But don't go 0 to 80 as fast as you can all the time, or you'll wear the transmission out. And that is the weakest point on that vehicle. Good luck with it. I wouldn't buy one, but you got it. Take care of it. I couldn't laugh at this man, D. Hardawire, bought himself a plug-in hybrid Chrysler minivan and then regretted it. And here's the weird thing. He had a RAV4 hybrid, right? But it wasn't big enough for his 2 kids. What a bunch of nonsense. There's tons of room in those things. I had 2 strapping sons, and they rode around in a 4-door Toyota Corolla for years. We need a bigger one because our 2 kids and all their stuff can't fit in it. Those things have enough room, you know? Well, his mistake. He went from buying a Toyota to buying a Chrysler, right? And the reason he did is because the Toyotas were getting too expensive. Even a used one was going for 50 G's. So he decided to buy a Chrysler Pacifica. I should have listened to Scotty and said, don't touch their crap. So the guy goes out and buys a used 2018 plug-in hybrid Pacifica, right? First of all, bad enough buying a Chrysler, buying a used one that's 4 years old, that's a big mistake too. And here's what he says. My family and I had a blissful first few weeks with the Pacifica. We rarely exceeded the 30 miles of EV range. But sadly, our honeymoon period ended shortly after Valentine's Day when Chrysler said they're recalling the Pacifica hybrid models because they start on fire. So, he found out quickly. He bought himself a lemon. Now, it's supposed to get 32 miles per gallon with the hybrid, all these systems in it. Now he can only drive it as a hybrid, not as a plug-in hybrid. He's only getting 21 miles per gallon. So, fantasy, it's getting great gas mileage. Bunch of nonsense. He can't use it as a plug-in because they said it will start on fire. So he's just using it as a regular hybrid. So he wasted all his money buying a stupid Chrysler product, stuck with the RAV4 that actually worked and got better gas mileage because it was a hybrid, right? But now we need all this extra space. Yeah, he did. Look what happened. He bought a Chrysler piece of crap. It's getting 21 miles a gallon instead of the average 32 that they say they're supposed to get when they're working right. So listen to Scotty. Don't buy Chrysler crap. And don't think you need something bigger than you do. He could have fit his 2 kids in that RAV4. There's plenty of room in it, you know? Just ridiculous. We couldn't fit all of their things in the trunk with the car seats in the back and blah. Don't bring all your crap with you every time you go someplace. People get too carried away with bringing all their crap with them. Now bit him in the rear and he's stuck with a crappy Pacifica minivan. It only gets 21 miles a gallon. Should have stuck with a RAV4, Jack. Well, as I always say, forget all the BS, all the philosophy, follow the money. Well, the ruble's going back up now. At one point it was 121.5 per dollar. Now it's like 72 per dollar. People care about money. People that invested in a ruble when there was 121 of them per dollar, and now there's only 74. They made a lot of money in currency exchange. You know, there's a lot of people playing that stuff. They can talk about, oh, we care about this, we care about that. No. Follow the money, and you'll see what's actually happening. Are they actually not buying coal and gas and stuff from Russia? No. A bunch of countries already said we're going to continue to buy it. We're not going to stop buying stuff from them. Don't listen to the political hype. Follow the money where they say, oh, well, all this problem in Russia is going to change the car industry, blah, 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 blah. Don't think they're not going to be buying materials from Russia. That's just a bunch of nonsense, political hype. And then under the table, these deals continue to be going on. I remember looking at history books, and in World War II, there were Standard Oil tank cars in Europe. They were still doing business with the Nazis in World War II. Money talks and BS walks, right? Don't think that this, oh, we're all going to, baloney. Follow the money. See what's actually happening. People have deals going on. They don't want you to know about it, but of course, there's got to be a reason the ruble's going back up. You know, a lot of it's because they're still selling a lot of energy stuff to people. People talk the talk, but when it comes down to money, they really don't walk the walk. So I don't think this Russian thing is going to have that much to do with the car industry and making everything higher, other than profiteering by the companies that just want to charge more for their cars because they think they can get away with it. Down and dirty money business. Follow the money. Don't follow the BS philosophy that these politicians throw out as the wind blows and they sway to the right, and then the wind blows and then they sway to the left when it blows the other way. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.